Hi, welcome back to Career Talk with Laura. This is my Read With Me series where I share things that I've learned from the books I'm reading. Today I am reading Difficult Conversations again. This is a self-help book which teaches you to negotiate conflict between two people. This book is full of great advice and discussions. You can use these techniques in a variety of situations with your friends, your family, your partner, your boss, your colleagues, basically anyone that you care to maintain a relationship with. Today I will share some insights I learned from this book on how to discuss feelings in a difficult conversation. A lot of the time when we're having a difficult conversation, like discussing some sort of issue, we try to leave feelings out of it because feelings are messy and the situation's already messy enough. We don't want to make it any messier than it already is. Especially at work, you might feel like it's not appropriate to express your feelings. However, we're not robots, okay? It's okay to express your feelings about things. You just have to pay attention to how you do it. If we don't address our feelings and repress them, the problem isn't actually solved. It's just patched and buried, and the feelings will just resurface sometime down the road. When important feelings are not expressed, your self-esteem might decrease because you haven't stood up for yourself. Or you may become so overwhelmed by your feelings that you're not even listening to what the other person is saying. Your inner voice is just repeating the same message in your head, and that becomes a vicious cycle. At that point, it becomes really difficult to move forward with the conversation. So how do you express feelings in a more productive way? Honestly, it's not easy and it'll take a lot of self-control and practice to get better at it. I'm going to give you a framework that will help you prepare for the conversation and for you to keep in mind and practice during the conversation. This is a 3-step process to discuss feelings in a conversation, and I'll get into the details of each. The first 2 steps are prep work before your conversation. First, you have to sort out your feelings, and then second, you have to negotiate with your feelings. And then the third step is during the conversation where you're actually sharing your feelings, but not attributions or judgments about the other person. The first 2 steps are a lot of prep work, but they're key if you want to express yourself effectively and minimize misunderstandings during the actual conversation. 1. Sorting out your feelings. Most of the time you might think that your feelings are just simple and you can summarize it with one word, but chances are your feelings are more complex than that. You can feel more than one thing at once, but the jumble of feelings may be so complex that your brain tries to simplify by putting a single label on it. So instead of trying to quickly label your feelings, take some time to reflect and sort it out. These are the things that you should consider when you're sorting out your feelings. First, from your childhood experiences, you could have been conditioned to believe that only certain feelings were okay to express while the others should be hidden. For example, were there certain feelings that people never show in your family? What kind of emotions do you find easy to acknowledge and express, and with whom? And which emotions do you find more difficult to express? I know for one that a lot of Asian parents are not like, "Ooh, I love you" to their kids. So now a lot of Asian kids find it awkward to say "I love you" to their parents, even though we know that we love each other. Anyway, understanding your past conditioning can help you stop yourself from suppressing your feelings. Then you need to accept your feelings and not judge yourself for having feelings. There's nothing wrong with having feelings, even if they're bad feelings like anger, resentment, or a lack of motivation. You may think,
well, good people shouldn't feel angry or resentful.
Well, I'm here to tell you, what you feel does not make you a good or bad person. It makes you a human. Now that we've established that it's okay to have feelings, next, you need to recognize that your feelings are just as important as other people's feelings. Some people tend to prioritize other people's feelings above their own and stay quiet and not say anything because they don't want to hurt other people's feelings or make them unhappy. If you do this, then you are undervaluing your own feelings and interests. Don't do that to yourself. You might think you're preserving the relationship by doing that, but you're actually going to get more and more resentful, which will slowly erode the relationship anyway. Now that you've gotten all of these things that could potentially inhibit your feelings out of the way, it's time to identify them. Your feelings could be mixed. For example, you can feel anger, fear, and hurt all at once. If you have trouble identifying all of your feelings, here is a list to help you. Sometimes when we try to express our feelings, we instead turn them into judgments, blame, attribution, or characterizations of the other person. For example, if you've been hurt by someone's actions, then you might think that they're a bad person, or you might assume that they're purposely trying to hurt you. Instead, identify your feelings: hurt, anger, sadness, etc. Now that you have sorted out your feelings, let's move on to step 2, which is negotiating with your feelings. What does this mean? Well, our feelings are formed as a response to our thoughts. However, our thoughts are commonly biased towards our own view, so we need to first examine our story of what happened. What are you telling yourself that makes you feel a certain way? What is your story missing? What might the other person's story be? What are your assumptions about the other person's intentions? How does your view of their intentions affect how you feel? What about your own intentions? What is each person's contribution to the problem? This means there is a lot of room to alter your feelings if you try to reduce some of your own biases. If you're thoughtful, honest, and you approach the questions openly with a spirit of fairness, then you might find that your feelings will change. You may feel less anger, hurt, anxiety, shame, and so on. So negotiate with your feelings and settle on how you feel after considering those questions. Alright, now the last step is to share your feelings. Now, you may decide at this point that sharing your feelings could be not necessary or it could be counterproductive. However, you need to make sure that you can accept not expressing yourself without tearing down your self-esteem or building up resentment. Before we get into how to share our feelings, we need to first differentiate between expressing our emotions and being emotional. You can express emotion well without being emotional, and you can be mega emotional without actually getting your feelings across. So by sharing your feelings, I don't mean yelling at people or constantly breaking down into tears. You need to be thoughtful in order to share your feelings clearly. Literally say, I feel, and say all the feelings that you feel after negotiating with yourself without simplifying them. Get everyone's feelings on the table, heard and acknowledged before you start problem solving. This means you express your feelings without judgment, attribution, or blame. You make it clear that it's important to you for you to express your feelings and have them understand. And you also listen to the other person's feelings and you let them know that you've heard them and you're trying to understand them. The key is to simply understand, not agree. If the other person tries to problem solve prematurely or they try to skip over the feelings conversation, you can redirect the conversation back by saying, hey, it's important to me that you understand how I feel. With a better understanding, you can get to the root of the problem, build trust, and find a solution that works for both parties. This is not to say that following this will ensure that all your difficult conversations will go well. After all, difficult conversations are difficult for a reason. However, this can equip you to have better conversations and better self-expression. Have you had difficulty expressing your feelings? Leave a comment and any questions below. Thanks for watching. Bye!